So social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney, a biological male known for making caricatures out of womanhood, then vilifying those who had something to say about it, then going on to do a Bud Light sponsorship which totally backfired for the company. Well, after fading into irrelevance for a while, Dylan Mulvaney is back. Sort of, appearing on The View.
What we're living through is something that in the history books will be written about. I want to make sure that my piece of it is advocacy. It's interesting because people often put me as an activist when I'm really just a musical theater girl who now wrote a book.
I mean, first of all, it's very disingenuous to claim you're not an activist when you literally went to the White House to talk to Joe Biden about trans issues, because an activist, by definition, is someone who campaigns for political or social change. And also, Dylan called for it to be illegal to use incorrect pronouns. So no matter how twisted or ridiculous your ideas may be, you're still an activist. Why else would this be the majority of your brand?
I think if I was to be able to speak directly to trans people, I would tell them the parts of us that they are attacking are the best parts of us, and that it's what makes us special and is magic, and hopefully they can see that. If the folks who maybe don't see me as a woman, which is such a shame, but I just hope that they can find a trans person who they can connect with to see that we are not monsters, that we're not trying to hurt anyone, and that we're really just doing our best the same as everyone else.
Beautifully said.
I mean, I agree that not all trans people are monsters. I know that there are some LGBTQ, a lot of people, who just want to be left alone, and that should be respected. And hear me out when I say this. I don't even know that the characterization of Dylan is a monster who's trying to hurt people, if that's even the correct label. Now, before you tune out and accuse me of switching sides to Dylan's defense, what I mean is maybe, maybe not, only God knows. I think Dylan is extremely out of touch and is a narcissist, because for Dylan it's like, all that matters is my agenda, and it's extremely harmful to people. I mean, because for an example, as I mentioned, he/she makes a total caricature of being a girl with the days of girlhood.
Day 66, being a girl, and today I'm in nature. Trees, I love them. Water, lakes, I love them. Heels, they're my hiking heels. I love them. Okay, come on.
So again, monster? Maybe, but definitely some narcissism if I had to take my guess. But I'm not a doctor, and the point is that Dylan is possibly one of the worst advocates for having trans issues being taken seriously, because all this stuff is taking away from what people with gender dysphoria actually go through. But anyways, let's get back to the pseudo-intellectuals at The View asking for Dylan's opinions on these issues.
Last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom said that he thinks that trans athletes competing in girls' and women's sports was deeply unfair. I want to hear what you think. I'll tell you what I think, too.
Yeah, the last time I played a sport, I was 6 years old, and I was on a soccer team, but I assigned myself as the nurse. So I sat with the Band-Aids. And so, in the words of Wicked, I am not that girl.
Okay, honestly, I do have to give Dylan some kudos for staying out of that territory.
But a dear friend of mine, Skylar, he is a trans athlete. That's someone who I really look to for guidance. And I'm still like a baby trans. You know, I'm only 3 years in. Tomorrow's my anniversary.
Your friend went from female to male and is competing with other males.
Correct.
No.
Yes.
Her friend.
Her friend went from female to male and is competing with other males.
So Gavin doesn't have a problem with that.
Well, I think part of the problem that the trans community is facing, and it's the same problem that women face, is if you don't know anything about our bodies, you don't know how it works. So when you come in and you say, oh, these are men, you know, competing against women, you're assuming that the women are weak and just can't do anything except be here. Have you seen female athletes? They know what they're doing. So I'm not sure what's going on or why this is an issue. The same for me as when people say, oh, you know, I don't know how I feel about you. You do. God doesn't make mistakes.
No.
And the challenge is not to the trans people, it's to the people who are not trans. That's what God is looking to see, how you treat people.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay, did anybody else get a brain aneurysm from listening to what Whoopi said? Because I sure as hell did. I mean, nobody's saying Whoopi proclaims that these women don't know what they're doing or are weak and meager. And it cuts both ways, just like if I had a daughter or niece or something and I found out they're playing sports with somebody who was born as a male, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. And likewise, if I were a man playing a competitive sport where people can get hurt and somebody joined my team that was originally a female that transitioned, I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that. I don't want to be responsible for giving them a serious injury. And I don't know if Whoopi fully heard herself talking, but her saying that God doesn't make mistakes unwittingly kills the entire argument, if there was even one to begin with. Because that implies that you were born as God intended, and if you transition, that's in a way antithetical to God. Then you wonder why some people feel uncomfortable about this whole thing. I know I feel somewhat uncomfortable because as Sikhs, we believe that God makes no mistakes, as do Christians. Now, collectively, we should keep that in mind more during rough times when it's not going our way. I know I'm guilty of forgetting that, but that's a conversation for a different time. But anyways, all this doesn't mean I would treat them any differently and vilify them just for being trans, because Sikhi teaches us that God resides in all of us, and by spreading hate towards them just for those choices, that is also the antithesis of my faith. All that said, I know I'm kind of on a soapbox right now, but my point is that we ought to treat people with humanity and kindness regardless of their decisions. It's important to recognize that people who have different beliefs than you are not just automatically soulless or whatever, and there may be some basis for people feeling that God and transgenderism don't fully go hand in hand. And it certainly doesn't help that just a few days ago, trans singer Laura Jane Grace, the lead of punk band Against Me, who was originally Thomas James Gable, was at Bernie Sanders' rally and had some colorful lyrics about God.
Does your God have a big fat dick? Cause it feels like he's f***ing me. Are his balls filled with lightning? Do they tingle like heaven's keys? Does your God have a big fat dick? Cause it feels like he's f***ing me. Does your God have a big fat dick? Cause it feels like he's f***ing me. Are his balls filled with lightning? Do they tingle like heaven's keys? Does his ego deep so deep it puts a necessary? Who's his 6 to his 9? What are his other kinks? Does your God have a big fat dick? Cause it feels like he's f***ing me. When he whips out his feet, does it will fall to his knees? Does he shoot wads of honey and come twice on Easter Sunday? What's his favorite position? Missionary, magic bullet. Can he come a shotgun blast, a true salvation up your ass? Is he too cut like bubble gum and get blood jobs like a like gun? Does your God have a big fat dick? Cause he's f***ing you and me.
Now you can have whoever you want at your rally, gay, straight, bi, trans, whatever. But if you followed along, the lyrics were mocking Easter. It was sexualizing God. And I think of something like the Olympics last summer where they mocked the Last Supper, and I said then that you can never mock another religion so freely. But it's pretty clear this was aimed at Christianity, and regardless of your political position, I'm offended on behalf of them. And for those who just want to be left alone after transitioning, I feel even worse for them in a way, because when you give voice to these radicals, it hurts the normal ones, quote unquote. And my message to these radicals would be, if they want trans acceptance, I would maybe start by not offending an entire group of people. And guys, I want to thank you all for watching this video as always, and if you appreciated my commentary, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, hopefully I've earned a subscription. Here's some more videos for you to watch in the meantime. Until next time, peace out.